Generations of Americans have responded with a simple creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we
cook.
So my brother is on Jeopardy tonight. He won yesterday. So we decided to, in the Jeopardy theme, to select a category and make 4 or 5 foods all in the same theme. Which tonight, since it's the spring as well, we're going to use probably my favorite spring ingredient of all time, rhubarb. We're making rhubarb coffee cake today, so we're going to start out with the ingredients, right? We've got 3 cups of sugar. We've got about 1 cup of butter. We've got 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, some cinnamon. This will go on to taste later. A little bit of salt. 2 cups of plain yogurt and some baking soda. So we're gonna combine, and of course, rhubarb, which is one of my favorite spring things. So we're gonna combine this all into the most delicious coffee cake you've ever had here very soon. All right, so the first thing you do when we're making rhubarb coffee cake is you start the oven preheating. We're just gonna preheat our oven here to 350 degrees. Very easy, simple, pretty standard for baking. The next thing you wanna do is chop up your rhubarb. Rhubarb, as you may know, comes in a stalk like this, and it's very easy just to kind of chop up little slices like that, which again, we'll throw in here. Now we're gonna use about 3 cups of rhubarb. We move immediately to combining the dry ingredients first. This is something you also do typically in baking, is combine the dry ingredients, and then combine some of your wet ingredients, and then put them together at the end. So we're gonna start with flour. We're gonna use 4 cups of flour. Preparation.
This is the prep.
When we put it all together,
you have to focus if you want to win this coffee cake.
You gotta be ready to compete. We're gonna do 1 tablespoon of salt here. Okay, so after the flour and salt, we do 2 teaspoons of baking soda here. Okay, remember these are just the dry ingredients that we're throwing together. So we got the flour, the salt, and the baking soda. And we're just gonna mix this up very quickly, just to mix those dry ingredients in together. All right, so the next step is to move to some of the wet ingredients, but you actually start with creaming together the butter and the sugar. That's about half a pound of butter, which is a cup of butter. That's a lot of butter. I'm looking forward to it. Sometimes it's good to really soften it up so it's easier to cream, especially since we don't have a hand mixer today. We're gonna kind of do this old school. Throw it in to the microwave for about 15 seconds or so. Nice and easy. While that's happening, we're gonna scoop in 3 cups of sugar.
All right.
So that's about 3 cups of sugar in there. You see, we probably need this in maybe for another 30 seconds or so. One of the other things we're going to do is add 1 teaspoon. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Let's make that.
Extra vanilla is always a good thing.
Big fan of vanilla.
Yeah.
As well as
Eggs.
2 eggs.
Oops.
All right. Thank you, Karen.
We had a little accident. When you microwave butter, you should be aware that the bowl will become very hot, especially if it's a large chunk of now superheated butter.
So after our great butter incident, the butter is now soft enough to kind of cream in here with the other wet ingredients.
That's what she said.
So we're just creaming the butter away. You can see this is significantly harder without a hand mixer. So you can see we're starting to get a nice level of creaminess. So next up, we're going to put the yogurt in with the rest of the wet ingredients. So we're going to do about 2 cups of yogurt here. You want to use, again, a wet measuring spoon, bowl, cup, rather than a dry measuring cup. Okay? And just keep mixing that in with the rest of the delicious wet ingredients. So, now that we've got the yogurt and the other wet ingredients mixed in here, we're gonna add the dry ingredients. Okay, and so we're just gonna kind of spoon the salt and the baking soda and the flour right on in there. Okay, and then just start mixing it in. We're now going to move to adding the rhubarb. So we're just gonna go ahead and dump the rhubarb right on in, about 3 cups of rhubarb right into the mix here. And you can see it's almost completely and thoroughly mixed here. So Carolyn has greased the pan, and we're now ready to pour in our delicious rhubarb coffee cake batter. So we're just gonna go ahead and pour this right in here.
It is quite delicious. I have sampled some of the batter.
Make sure to get all of it out. All right, just spread this out here so it's even across the bottom of the pan. And we're ready to go. So now we're just gonna throw this in the oven. Carolyn, would you like to do the honors?
All right.
And remember, when you take it out, it's gonna be hot.
Yeah, I'll put on some mix.
So then we're just gonna leave the rhubarb coffee cake in here for about 40 minutes.
Okay.
At the end of 40 minutes, it should be done. So the final step of our rhubarb coffee cake, after it's cooked for 40 minutes, is to sprinkle some cinnamon over the top here. Just like that. Alright. And then a little bit of sugar. Okay, so just sprinkle that over the top here. So that nice cinnamon sugar mixture will give that just a little bit extra flavor. And then after we do that, we're going to throw it back in for just another 2 or 3 minutes to let that cook right into the crust. Right there. Yeah, that's solid.
So everyone ate this so rapidly that we couldn't even film the initial bite. So you can see
We did manage to eat half of it with only
half of the coffee cake is gone.
8 people.
Yeah, with 8 people. So I will have my 3rd piece of coffee cake so this can be filmed. I mean, it is worth having a 3rd piece. It is very, very tasty, moist and delicious coffee cake.
Yes, we
Cook.